Hello everyone, thanks for coming outside with me today. Today I would like to go over 3 fixed blade broadheads and 3 mechanical broadheads that are mass produced, that if you walked into the local shop that I work at and said, what should I buy? These would be the top 3 on both sides that I would recommend. What? Mechanical broadheads? Shh, no one's allowed to say that anymore. Believe it or not, there's actually a boatload of people on this planet that still shoot mechanical broadheads and still want to buy them, whether they shoot a crossbow or not. Thought a crossbow hunter would pop out from behind this bush over here. So all kidding aside, if you walked into a big box store or your local pro shop and we're looking for a mass-produced broadhead, what would be my top 3? Well, let's start with the fixed blade. So I would look at Slick Trick, I would look at Magnus, and I would look at G5. So let's start with Slick Trick. So Slick Trick's been around for quite some time, part of the outdoor group there up in New York, and they make a litany of different fixed blade as well as a mechanical, which didn't make the list, but a litany of fixed blade broadheads and a lot of different cutting diameters. However, all of them are quite small, which makes a nice, short, compact, beefy head, which is something you really want out of a good, strong, sturdy broadhead. They make their Slick Trick, their Grizz Trick, their Slick Trick Magnum, but all are around 1.25 inches or less. Some of them are 3-blade and some of them are 4-blade. And in terms of a United States-made broadhead company that's been doing it for a long time and has killed everything from African plains game to elk to whitetail, you really can't go wrong. And then this year, as new for 2021, I haven't tested it out yet, although I'll put a link down in the description below to a video that Trenton did from Chest Thumper Outdoors. Thanks for posting that, buddy. To what he did of a testing of the Slick Trick, their new 3-blade single one-piece head. Very interested to try those out. Kind of looks like a cross between a Montec and a G5 Striker and a Q80 Exodus, maybe even a little Annihilator sprinkled in. Very interested to maybe get my hands on a pack of those broadheads and try those out. Those would be another interesting addition to Slick Trick this year. Second on the list for fixed blades is Magnus, and if you follow the channel for any length of time, you know that I love Magnus heads. No nonsense warranty, excellent customer service, quality control is through the roof, razor sharp out of the package. I have not had a mass-produced broadhead be so sharp out of the package, whether it's the Stinger line or the Black Hornet line. Absolutely love what Mike Sohm is doing there in Great Bend, Kansas. If you want that field point-like accuracy, if you want the strength and durability, you want good quality control and customer service, you cannot beat Magnus. I don't care what you say. In a mass-produced broadhead, $40 or less for a 3-pack, it's hard to beat. Thirdly, and Q80 almost sneaks in here, but I give the nod to G5 and their Montec, and now their solid Montec, but also their Striker, which I'm actually more a fan of than their Montec line. Montec's been known to be pretty dull out of the package, require a little bit of love and care to get them back up to their nice, sharp, what you should be taking into the woods level. Now their Striker, on the other hand, is razor sharp right out of the package. I like their original ones. I don't like the bigger cut ones necessarily out of a fixed blade, but the Striker and the Montec, and particularly in the new single piece one, which is interesting. I'll be excited to see how people perform with those this fall in particular. Don't think they can beat any of those heads. All right, so Slick Trick, Magnus, and G5 get the nod on the fixed blade side, but what about the mechanicals? So number 1 for me, made right here in the United States, which is a huge plus with mechanicals because not a whole lot are anymore, is Grim Reaper. Basically, if you need a mechanical broadhead, 3-blade, 4-blade, 1.25 inches, 1 3/8, 1.5 inches, 2 inches if you want to go hog wild, they make it for you. They have all their Fatal Steel line, they have the aluminum and steel blended models, they have the razor tip models. They specialize in mechanical broadheads. And in terms of their no O-rings, no nonsense blade retention system, if you come into the shop and like, listen, I want to shoot 100, 125, if you can beef it up to a 150 for a mechanical broadhead, it's going to be Grim Reaper for me. Hands down, no questions asked. Number 2 is going to be the NAP Spitfire, which is again another over-the-top mechanical, and this is something you'll see kind of as a common thread between all 3 of these things. Over-the-top mechanicals, no O-ring system, no shock collars, no nonsense. These are the type of mechanicals that I recommend to people if they want to buy a mechanical broadhead to take to the whitetail woods. You're gonna have the NAP Spitfire as well as the NAP Shockwave, which is kind of the baby brother. It's a little bit cheaper. I've killed deer with with the Shockwave. I have videos early about it, way early on in my channel days, but the NAP Spitfire has been killing deer both out of compounds and crossbows for decades. They're a really nice 1.5-inch cut, 3-blade mechanical. My father-in-law has killed many deer with his, and I strongly recommend, if you're going to get a mechanical and you don't find Grim Reaper in your area, definitely shoot the Spitfire from NAP. My third mechanical broadhead, and it pains me to kind of say it because they're not really made anymore, but it's the original Rocket Steelheads, or at least the Rocket Steelheads and the Steelhead XLs. Now, Rocket's still around. They still make, I think, the Sidewinder and the Meat Seeker. Yes, they make a mechanical called the Meat Seeker. But either way, at least the old original Rocket Steelheads were a one-piece solid steel ferrule and a very, very small cutting diameter. I want to say it was 1 1/8 inches. Now, you can still find them if you peruse the interwebs. You can go ahead and find yourself some of the older style Rocket Steelheads. Now, their blades for all Rocket broadheads were never all that sharp out of the package. Most mechanicals aren't that sharp right out of the package. But these ones were the dullest probably of all. Now, the blades were small, which made them easy to take off, put in a pair of vice grips, and strop. You can get them back up to acceptable mechanical sharpness. Now, the reason why I recommend these over basically any other broadhead that's made on the market today is the cutting diameter. There are a lot of good other mechanicals. You know, G5 still makes a lot of good mechanicals. Of course, Rage. And there's a lot of other smaller companies as well. But the cutting diameter mechanicals has just gotten over the top too big. 1.75 inches, 2 inches, it's just getting too insane. I like to keep it to 1.5 inches and smaller, which is plenty. If you can kill a deer with 1 1/16 inches, which is what Magnus buzz cuts and stingers are, if you can do 1 1/16 inches with a fixed blade, why do you need 2 inches out of a mechanical? It doesn't make any sense to me. So it's just gonna dump energy, you know the spiel. So really, any mechanical broadhead that has a good structural integrity with its ferrule and its blades are made well, if it's made in the United States like Grim Reaper is, that's a plus. But really, anything that's 1.5 inches or less in terms of its cutting diameter, that's what I would recommend to anybody, regardless of whatever you're pushing in terms of specs of poundage, draw length, kinetic energy, momentum out of your bow. So that's all for this video. If you have any questions on any of the broadheads or companies that I mentioned, or if you want to leave angry comments down below, feel free. Or if you actually have questions for me, hit me up on Facebook and Instagram, Average Jack Archery, or even send me an email at averagejackarchery@gmail.com. Hope you're able to get outside, enjoy the sport of archery, archery hunting if you so choose. Definitely enjoy God's beautiful summertime creation, and we'll get to see you next time.